Good evening, friends, and welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. We are retired New York City police detectives and 9/11 World Trade Center first responders. If you like all things true crime related from the police detective's perspective, you're in the right spot. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you'll get all things DutyRon and this guy over here, Ed Wallace, when we go live or upload another video. And that's right, folks. Today we had breaking news. We were on that breaking news. I was on that breaking news. So was Ed. He was in Chicago. I was in New York. Savanah Soto Matthew Guerra, the case of the murdered pregnant 18-year-old baby Fabian. We're getting closer to getting justice. Towel lady, Myrta Romanos, that is Christopher's mother. And I come to find out that it is potentially his biological mother. Her full name is Myrta Romanos Preciado. And I looked at some court documents and some paperwork. That is her full name. She just chose to not take her married name. Ed, how you doing tonight? What's happening? What's your thoughts on this arrest of Towel Lady, a.k.a. Myrta Romanos?
So after the first press conference, when they said they thought they had everybody involved, and then boom, the internet lit up like, Christmas tree. Say, hey, what about the person who threw that towel? That towel was thrown inside there. There had to be another person in there.
Yeah.
And sure enough. And remember what I said, these people weren't the sharpest in the group here. They didn't hide the gun. They found the gun on a search warrant in her bedroom. And then it turns out they didn't even delete their security camera videos for that night, showing that she and her husband jumped in the car, ran out to meet the son, and then came back all together. All three of them came back home on their videotape, on their security videotape for their house.
So you're telling us that from December 21st, the night of, to all the way fast forward to the detectives coming to their home into January of 2024, they win the Dumb Criminals of 2024 award right out of the gate. I give it to them.
Ding, 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 ding.
Ding, 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 ding. I wish I had I got to add a ding, ding, ding bell, but they get the Dumbest Criminals of the Year award for 2023 and going into, they actually took the cake. They took it in both years.
Well, I mean, the son is up there too, because he locked in a statement saying that he wrestled Matthew's gun away from him,
right,
and shot them both. So now we know that's not true.
And
then she locked herself into a statement to the detectives that she was sleeping at home and she doesn't remember what happened that night.
Yeah, conveniently losing her memory, sort of like Shonda Vander Ark, that couldn't conveniently remember all of the specifics of the tortured death of her son.
But as a famous sportscaster once said, let's go to the videotape.
So let's take a look at some coverage from today, folks. Again, we were first on it. We grabbed the perp walk. We were live, and we gave you the perp walk straight out of the San Antonio police station. But let's listen to this from today.
You start tonight with breaking news.
San Antonio police make a third arrest in the capital murder cases of 18-year-old expecting mother Savanah Soto and Matthew Guerra.
Take a look at your screen. Police say 47-year-old Myrta Romanos, you see there on the left, is the third person in that surveillance video on the right inside the truck with Christopher and Ramon Preciado as they drop off the bodies of Savanah and Matthew at this nearby apartment complex. And according to the arrest affidavit, it was her gun used in the murders.
News 4 San Antonio's Matt Roy went to police to find out more about this latest arrest.
And Matt, we should mention that Myrta is closely related to those other two suspects.
Robert, Mandy, that's exactly right. The 47-year-old Myrta Romanos is the stepmother, allegedly, of the alleged murderer Christian and his accomplice, or his father, Ramon Preciado Jr. But as you guys said, this is the final alleged suspect in this devastating story. Police announced on January 3rd the arrest of two suspects, Christian Preciado and his father, Ramon Preciado Jr. At that time, they had one more person of interest, but not enough evidence to build a case. Now, they feel they do and arrested the third suspect, 47-year-old Myrta Romanos.
We were able to develop information from surveillance video that shows Miss Romanos involved the night of the murder. That video surveillance shows her at the home right after the murders, and she was seen on video surveillance leaving in that black truck that we all saw on the surveillance video, and then returning to her home with Christopher and Ramon in that truck.
Romanos will be charged with 3 felonies: altering, destroying, or concealing a human corpse, abusing a corpse, and tampering with evidence. SAPD is now under the impression that all suspects are now in custody. As of right now, are you under the impression there are any more suspects?
At this time, we're confident that there's no more suspects. At this time, we're confident that these were the 3 individuals that were involved in this case.
Police say where the murders of Matthew Guerra, Savanah Soto, or baby Fabian took place, except they do know it was in the area of where the house was located. As always, this is a continuing story, and we will bring you the latest developments as we get them here at News 4 San Antonio and online, news4sanantonio.com, for a recap of how we got right here. Let's send it back to Robert and Mandy in the studio, guys.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, this arrest comes 20 days after Savanah and Matthew were killed. When they were reported missing, police launched an extensive investigation. It caught attention across the country. Police say the key piece of evidence was Savanah's cell phone. It was found in the car where she and Matthew were found shot to death the day after Christmas.
After that, police releasing that surveillance video of Christopher and Ramon you see here, where many people noticed a third person tossing the father a towel. Well, the arrest of son and father came days later, but the third arrest did not come until today. Ramon's wife, Christopher's stepmother. A roller coaster of emotion for the families of the victims. Matthew Guerra's funeral has already taken place, and we are just days away from services for Savanah and her unborn son, Fabian.
And we'll continue to give you the latest on this evolving capital murder investigation. You can also get updates on News 4 SA.
So, Ed, I wanted to go to you right away. Your thoughts on the day's events here and what they reported on here just now.
You know, it's a far cry from what happened during that first perp walk and the sergeant saying they got everybody involved, arrested, right? So I guess that was not accurate either. But you know, there's some interesting things, interesting dynamics come in here. And if we can find, Ron, if we can find the best surveillance video of that encounter between the father and the son, it appears to me and that the father may have pushed him back down into the car. And in addition, when the mother tossed the towel and he wiped down certain things, he went into the back seat because I think, still remember, folks, he still had that gun at that time. He still had his mom's gun. All right. He had just murdered these two. All right. They hadn't seen him. The mother and the father haven't seen him since he shot these two. So he was still in possession of that gun. And I think the father used that towel to go in the back seat and pick up that gun and put it back in the car.
You know, Ed, I think we talked about that a little bit. We talked about the pushing. I had said, you know, all along I felt it was a female. But we talked about the pushing, and I'm going to go. This is what I have here. Let's get it. It's 30 seconds. He's outside of the car for 30 seconds. But you make a really good point that I think that he might have used that towel, and it shows that mom knew, hey, get my, and I said the F word, gun back.
Yeah, and that's why I think the father was mad. You know.
Yeah, so let me get this full screen and let it roll. Okay, here it is. This is when he gets out right here. It's a total of 30 seconds, folks. Let's take a look at it, and I could slow it down and stop it. He gets out. It's a conversation.
Yeah, and this is where you thought it was a female with a ponytail, and I said I wasn't too sure of that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, look. Yeah. People still think it's a female when they look at him, you know. So there, the mom throws the towel. We know that now, confirmed. We know that that is Myrta Romanos. And he wipes or looks at something. Maybe he said, oh, shit, I touched the door. Let me wipe it. And gets up.
And then the kid gets out of the car and watch.
Boom. Back down.
Push him back down. And then he goes in the back.
Hold on. I'm going to see the push again. Oh, no.
Look at the way he's holding the towel.
Up, down. Let's see if he wraps that thing. He's got it in his right hand. He throws it in the car. It looks like it looks like he handed it off to her. Like, here's your gun. Here's your gun.
Mm-hmm.
And they left the cell phones too. One cell phone. They left Savanah's cell phone in that car as well.
But allegedly, they recovered 2 cell phones.
Correct. Correct.
Right. They only told us about hers, and it was hers that was worked up to find the Danny Kaye and what's it, Charlie Chan.
Charlie Chan, yes. So these are the 2 addresses, and it's less than a mile. It's 0.8 of a mile away from that location, from the home on from their home on Charlie Chan to going straight to Danny Kaye. 5903 Danny Kaye is 0.8 of a mile. That's it.
Yeah. Now, when somebody was in the chat was saying, Ed, please explain the push down thing. I said, well, it appeared when I looked at it closely that the father may have pushed his son back into the driver's seat after he got out.
Yeah, like maybe, words.
Get back in there. Get back in there.
Like the son was saying, you drive, I'll drive the truck home. You drive. He was probably freaking out. I mean, I don't know. I'm just trying to get a grip of what occurred there, And again, this is not a career criminal. He's got no criminal history. He didn't get caught. I'll put it to you that way. Right.
Listen, whatever he did it so fast. Okay. And I'd like to see the interior of that car. I'd like to see. I have a save in the folder, not the interior of that car, but I have an interior of the stock vehicle. No, I want to see the interior of the car for gunshot residue and bloodstain pattern analysis. I wanted to see, because it happened so fast.
Yeah.
I think he jumped in the back seat of the car to do the deal that they thought they were going to do a deal. All right, and he just pop.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever happened, it happened very quickly, and it happened in 9 minutes, according to the timeline. And there's people that question, how could this not experienced, no arrest record kid kill them quickly that fast? And I know you can attest to this. It can happen. It can happen.
Oh, absolutely. Especially if you're in the back seat and you have the advantage.
Yeah.
You're in the back seat and you have the advantage. Now, think about this, folks, because I've investigated and done shooting reconstructions where 2 NYPD cops were murdered by a backseat occupant. All right. So who's the biggest threat here in the car to Christopher? Okay, that would be Matthew, right? Yeah. Matthew's driving the car and she's in the passenger seat. So if you're going to kill them, because I don't believe this was a drug deal at all. I believe this was a setup to rob Christopher of money, drugs, and gun, right? Because Christopher's social media shows all of these things, right? So,
are you talking about?
I'm sorry, Matthew. I said Christopher, but I meant Matthew. Right. Matthew's social media, excuse me, shows bling, money, and guns, right? And so Christopher gets in the back and immediately takes out mom's gun, contact wound to Matthew's head, and then over to
Savanah.
Our other victim, Savanah, and which wasn't contact. That's why I want to see the interior of that vehicle. I believe there's gunshot residue there. I believe there's back spatter in there. We have no knowledge of an exit wound. All we hear of were the entrance wounds.
And what about the inside of that gun, inside that barrel of that gun?
The side of the gun, the barrel, but they took possession of the gun, right? So the father and the mother took possession of that gun back from the son. And if they had the towel, blood could have transferred if it was on the outside of the gun.
Just a disclaimer, folks, this is a possibility. We're just kind of spitballing here. Obviously, right. This is not, we have no inside knowledge of this. This is just a potential scenario that could have happened. And there's many other potential scenarios because as we know from Matthew's social media, he was known to, rip people off and flake them. And there's like, a street term, there's a slang term for what he was doing. He would go and try to do these deals. And if he would see that the person looked vulnerable and he can get away with it, he would take the money and not deliver it and not do the handoff of the drugs. Because the drug dealers, they want to get their money first and then they hand the product. So That's another possibility of what could have happened here. Hey, I want to just go to a second piece because this one talks a little bit about the gun and about her hiding it in a locked door inside off of the bedroom. So maybe it was a closet, maybe it was something like that. What do you got, Ed?
I just want to touch on Judy said that, Ed, could you tell who was killed first? Possibly. You could possibly tell by bloodstain overlays. Okay. So now remember when I showed you the ballistic forensic Fridays with ballistics, you know, I also during the bloodstain pattern forensic Friday, I showed you gunshot forward and back spatter. Okay. Back spatter associated with the entrance wound, the forward spatter associated with an exit. Now, with that back spatter, okay, also with the hard contact, okay, that gun is pushed up against the skull. So you might not only find blood, but you might also find Matthew's hair and skin from the scalp, and possibly even bone lodged in portions of the gun. Okay, and so like if some of the blood got sucked down the barrel from Matthew. If Matthew was the first shot, right? Then the second shot going down that barrel most likely took out any blood that was in there. But there's also could be blood on the outside of the firearm, plus what would have been Christopher's hand and maybe clothing. Now, then he turns and shoots Savanah. So any blood that was in that barrel when that second shot comes out, it's gone. Okay, with the bullet going down the barrel and so forth, it's gone. But she may have created back spatter as well and gotten on him, hit the gun and clothing. Now, if any of that blood is overlapping or overlaying each other, there is potential to find out, you know, what came first, whose blood came first, and then the other blood overlaying and so forth. So that is a possibility.
Right. Thank you for explaining that. Just Melissa says, DutyRon and Ed, the affidavit said Christopher manipulated the gun in a scuffle. That's his version. It's bullshit. He's lying. That is not what happened in this scenario. And in that affidavit, just Melissa, I know you read all of it, it says that the detective believes that this statement does not coincide with the forensic evidence that's at the inside, on the inside of that vehicle. Ed, take it.
Yeah, boy, but Christopher told the detective that Matthew pointed his gun at Christopher and Christopher struggled for the gun.
The gun, which is bullshit. And we all know that. He's full of shit. Everything in his statement is hogwash. Let's take a listen to this because it talks about the gun, and then we're going to go to the affidavit. So guys, stand by. And if you're not yet subscribed to Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace, we're asking you kindly to give it a thumbs up. Right now, while we're all here, if you guys can, it helps the algorithm. Give the video a thumbs up and share it onto your social media platform. And if you're not subscribed, it's free. Hit the subscribe button, sign into your account if you're watching from the outside, and you have that 30-day money-back guarantee. You subscribe, it's free. If you don't like what you see after 30 days, you can unsubscribe, and that's also free. How about that?
Also, we need to talk about criminal possession of a weapon now for Christopher, and possible charges against his mother for not properly safeguarding that weapon, and then GLA, grand larceny auto, for Christopher taking the vehicle. I mean, I think there's a lot more charges that can be brought.
The district attorney could bring in a whole slew of charges, and there's no rush. That's the good part, is that they're not in a rush to do any of that. They can add all of that on at a later date, and we could be talking about additional charges in the future. Thank you all for taking care of business and hitting that thumbs up. All right, here we go.
We begin with breaking news now at 4. San Antonio police make a third arrest in connection to the capital murder case of Savanah Soto and Matthew Guerra. 19-year-old Christopher Preciado has been charged with capital murder, and his father, Ramon Preciado, also charged on abuse of a corpse. Then today, Myrta Romanos was taken into custody, accused of helping move the bodies of the couple to the location where they were later found off Danny K. Drive. KENS 5's Vanessa Croy has more on the arrest of the stepmother. Vanessa.
Well, Deborah, according to an arrest warrant, officers discovered the murder weapon that Romanos allegedly hid behind a locked door in her bedroom. And shell casings from the victim's car later matched that gun. and Romanos admitted to police that it was hers. But it was a new piece of critical evidence that eventually cracked the case, leading them to believe a third person was involved, and the arrest today of Myrta Romanos. Now, let's all started on December 23rd when Savanah Soto didn't show up at the hospital where she was scheduled to be induced and deliver her baby. 3 days later, Matthew Guerra's car was discovered parked in an apartment complex near the medical center. Inside, officers found the bodies of Soto and Guerra. Both had been shot and killed. Investigators reviewed surveillance video that revealed key evidence to the case. In the video, Guerra's car is seen pulling up to the complex along with a Chevy truck. A man police say is Ramon Preciado got out of the truck, and Ramon appears to be talking to the driver of the victim's car, who police believe was Christopher Preciado. Then that video appears to show another person inside the truck toss a towel to Ramon as he then tried to wipe fingerprint evidence off the victim's car. And now, according to police, new surveillance video led to the arrest of Myrta Romanos.
That video surveillance shows her at the home right after the murders, and she was seen on video surveillance leaving in that black truck that we all saw on the surveillance video, and then returning to her home with Christopher and Ramon in that truck.
And police tell us they do not believe anyone else is involved. Tonight, Romanos is facing 3 charges, including abuse of a corpse and tampering with evidence. For now, reporting live downtown at police headquarters.
So there you have it. I mean, the 3 charges are altering, destroying, and concealing a corpse, abuse of a corpse, and tampering with evidence, that being her gun. The forensic unit enhanced the video at the home, Ed, and we talked about forensics, and we talked about cell phone data and how important these components would come into making this case. They waited because we heard Chief McManus. He refused to say if the mother was being questioned. He said, I'm going to leave that unanswered, because he knew damn well they were building a case against her. And they just didn't want to spook her. We also got reports from local residents that she was receiving the Instacart orders of food to the home, that she was not going out of the house. She was not traveling anywhere. She was bunkered down in that house up until today when she was arrested. But Ed, I wanted you to talk about the enhanced video, and again, we don't know what video surveillance they had at home, whether it was a Ring video doorbell, whether it was a Blink, whether it was some kind of IP camera that went to a DVR. We'll hear more about that, but this is what they used to build their case against her, correct? Absolutely. And they locked her statement in during the interview back at the police department's headquarters there. And, she said she was asleep. She don't remember all of this stuff. And then boom, they got the video, and it shows that everything she told them was a lie. So she's locked in on her statement. And now somebody wrote in the post, in the chat rather, that she gave the gun to Christopher. We have no information that is true at all. We don't know if Christopher stole the gun from her, knew where she kept it and took it without her permission, and that she didn't know. We don't know any of that. We don't know if she gave it to him. We don't know any of that yet. That, again, investigation, that'll come out later in court documents. But we don't have the autopsy yet. So, again, that may come out later, and we'll find more information about that. Yeah, absolutely. I want to go ahead, Ed. Go. Yeah, but that towel is still critical. We got to find that towel. Now, if that towel's gone, that's additional charges can be brought against Ramon and his wife for tampering with evidence, because that towel, if it did come in contact with the gun, would have possible DNA, gunshot residue, possible blood on the towel, skin, and fibers. Yeah, and it would have her DNA, his DNA, what was on the side of the car, that he wiped down, and that gunshot residue. All of that could potentially be on that towel. Can you explain to the audience about that Lacard's exchange principle and how that comes into play with all 3 of them here? Yeah. So anytime 2 objects and a scene come together, when the 2 objects and the scene separate from each other, they're going to transfer
that contact of each other. So if Ron and I come together at a specific location, when we separate, I'm going to take bits of Ron with me and the scene, and I'm going to leave bits of me at the scene. And Ron is going to take bits of me and the scene with him, and he's going to leave bits of Ron at the scene, except for Ron's head here, because that's not going to happen.
Yeah, that ain't happening. That's definitely not going to happen. Thank you, Ed. I appreciate you bringing that up. I got a good shine today on my dome. Thank God I shaved.
You got
today.
a good buff.
I just gifted out 5 memberships. And congratulations to any and all of the new members. Welcome to Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed. I want to take the liberty of, and let me know in the chat. Thank you to everyone who's here, and we love our live audience, Ed, right? We're 26 minutes. We absolutely adore the live audience, and we want you to hashtag your questions, hashtag DutyRon, hashtag Ed. But we're going to do that after the 30-minute mark. But for the next 6 or 7 minutes, let's and I'm going to let the chat decide. Let's see if they want to watch Miss Ozzy Osbourne, Myrta Romanos, Preciado, 47 years old, arrested today on a slew of felony charges, be a perp walked out. If you want to see that, let us know. Say, I want to see it. Come on, bring it, DutyRon. So let's see what the chat wants. If they want towel walkout, we will show it. And I'm going to show the version that shows her face really good, and the reporter that says to her, "How could you sleep at night, lady? How could you sleep at night?" That reporter, I don't know who it was, but she gets the Good Reporter of the Year award. I think everybody wants to see it. Ed, what do you think?
Okay.
All right, let's do it.
Let's go to the videotape. I wonder what Ozzy Osbourne is thinking right now.
He's not happy. He can't be happy with that. Sharon, she's not happy either. All right, so there's no audio to this, folks, right now. It starts now.
Myrta, did you give Christopher your gun? Did you give Christopher your gun to use in this murder? Are you sorry?
Excuse me, guys.
Did you give Christopher your gun? How can you sleep at night? How have you been able to sleep at night?
Right in the face.
Do you have anything to say to the family?
Did you give Christopher your gun? What is your silence supposed to say? What message is your silence sending? Are you sorry?
I like it so
Are you
much.
sorry?
I'll watch it one more time.
Excuse me, guys.
Did you give Christopher your gun? How can you sleep at night? How have you been able to sleep at night?
Ciao, guys.
Do you have anything to say to the family?
Did you give Christopher your gun?
All right, so there you see it. There you have it, Ed. Unbelievable. I was scanning the local coverage, and that was the best shot of actually her face, because the one that I used quickly, I just chose whatever was there, was from the back and was from behind. So this one, you could really get to see her face. She just looked down and she didn't say anything. You know, you don't expect them to say anything. Although her husband, Ramon, so he talked about fake news. He talked about, don't believe everything you hear, just denying the whole thing. And what was your thoughts on that walkout, Ed?
Well, it was done a little differently than the last one. It was a lot more controlled, and the officers stayed with her as she got in the car and closed the door, didn't allow the reporters to get into her grill and stick the microphone right in her face like they did with the father and the son.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
I noticed it was a little different, and maybe they just said, from what we did the last time, maybe we should change it up. I'm not sure if they got any criticism, but there's people in the chat, like some people say, well, if they're innocent until proven guilty, why are they doing a perp walk? Perp walks have been happening for many, many decades. And you have to take somebody who you make a summary arrest on and bring them out of the precinct after you fingerprinted them and processed them through the police department, and then you have to bring them to a centralized booking location. And that happens. This is normal. Most of the times the news are outside of our precincts in New York here, and you have to put a bulletproof vest on people like that because, you know, you're worried about somebody coming and trying to shoot them. In this case, it's a controlled environment inside a Sally Port. The gates are down. Nobody can get in other than the bona fide press that are there. And the press has access. In San Antonio, according to locals, Ed, they do that all the time. This is standard in a big case where it's high profile. They will do this perp walkout. So this is not a new thing. They didn't just start this for this case. So
yeah, but we don't announce it.
No, we definitely
we don't. The NYPD doesn't throw this out, you know, in a social media text or whatever, you know, on X or any of the platforms that we on. We don't do that.
Yeah, this was all over the internet, Ed. I saw it. I had 15 minutes to get ready for it. And thank you to all of the viewers that tipped me off. They sent messages on DutyRon.com. So kudos to the ladies and gentlemen who tipped me off to this was happening. You guys are really aces. Ed, there's one more thing I wanted to show everybody, and it's the district attorney's office. And it's not the main guy that we saw. This is a interview with a female district attorney who maybe will be charging this case. Because as we know, most district attorneys, the bosses, they're not the guys and girls who go and do the cases. In some instances, like we see with Rex Heuermann, we have Tierney going to charge the case. He's going to go and try to prove his case, the state. But in this one, I don't believe that's going to happen. So we heard from. Go ahead, Ed.
I think she was talking about their case management system and how they are utilizing their software to coordinate with the Bexar County Sheriff's Office and the San Antonio Police Department. And so they have this network where they share all of the electronic files and so forth.
Yeah, they're jobbing it out to an outside agency. So they're talking about that, and they show the files. Here, April Wins 1990 says, San Antonio PD does the walkout even for simple car thief. Wow. Interesting. All right, so let's let this rip. Let's let it play, and we'll be right back.
Family and friends paying their respects to Matthew Guerra, the 22-year-old found shot to death in a car along with 18-year-old Savanah Soto, who was expecting. Services were held today for Guerra at Mission Park Funeral Chapel.
It's from yesterday.
His burial
obviously
will be held at San Jose Burial Park. Services for Savanah and their unborn son will be held later this week.
So far, we know their services will be at Sunset Memorial Rosary for Savanah and Fabian. They're at 5 p.m. Friday. The burial is Saturday, but the time has not been established. We will keep you updated as soon as we know more.
While the services are continuing this week, the investigation into their deaths, it is also ongoing.
News 4 San Antonio's Marisa Mendoza spoke with the district attorney's.
I want to just say this was yesterday before the announcement of this arrest, ladies and gentlemen, watching, coming in now. This happened before the arrest that happened today. This was late in the day yesterday.
Office, which says it's getting new technology that could help get through high-profile cases like this more effectively.
Intake chief with the Bexar County District Attorney's Office, Emily Angulo, says big capital murder investigations like the Savanah Soto Matthew Guerra case will be labor intensive for prosecutors.
When you have thousands of items of evidence, ensuring that you have everything is so important to the success of that case.
To ensure success, upgrading their evidence system is a must.
Since 2014, digital evidence, for example, has gone up 800%.
We learned the DA's office hasn't had a tech upgrade with their evidence management system in 10 years. She told us having a system that is compatible with their biggest law enforcement agencies, San Antonio Police and the Bexar County Sheriff's Office, will help prosecutors go through evidence more efficiently.
Law enforcement will not have to transfer evidence to us, and we will not have to hunt for the evidence from law enforcement. We will all have one basket that we will look into and see what evidence we have.
Just to give you an idea of how much evidence prosecutors have to go through, take a look at this. This is just from drug cases dating back to October, containing just preliminary reports.
These are just from drug cases, Ed, dating back to October of 2023.
preliminary reports.
It's unbelievable.
Including any digital evidence they also have to go through.
The DA's office receives about 60,000 felony and misdemeanor cases a year, but that doesn't mean they all make it to trial. But with a new evidence management system, it will hopefully prevent evidence from getting lost.
We'll be able to spend less time worried about the transfer of evidence and even the reviewing of evidence because it will be much more simplified. We will be able to spend much more time in the courtrooms prosecuting those cases that get backlogged in our office.
Once negotiations are finalized with the tech company, the DA's office will go back to Commissioner's Court with their final price tag. They hope to have a tech upgrade in the coming months. From down.
So there you have it. They're upgrading, and hopefully that gets put in place and nothing gets lost. And I know nothing will get lost in this case. And I wanted to talk about the press briefing. That wasn't a press conference at the end where we saw the female lieutenant give a press briefing. San Antonio PD Public Information Officer Lieutenant Myrta Romanos. And she was asked some questions at the end by some of the reporters. And one of the questions was, is this crime part of a larger crime ring? And they referenced cartels, and she immediately responded no to that. Did you catch on to that
Yes.
question?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to see if anybody else in the chat caught that, because that, to me, I had to really listen with headphones on after the fact. So I'm trying to pull that up as we are speaking here. But again, that press conference was short. It was to the point. Sam I Am is laughing about Towel Lady. So she's behind on the chat. But let's welcome all of our new subscribers. There's a ton of new subscribers here, and Ed and I are honored that you guys are here watching us and, getting an education on forensics. You arguably can't find this on any other YouTube channel on, in the true crime genre. So, Ed, thank you for all of the knowledge that you put out. Let me just try to find this. I'm going to put you full screen. If you can, look at the comments, maybe see something that's coming.
It's obviously somebody's a Dr. Zeus fan. You do not like Queen Eggs and Ham too? Okay, Sam I Am. Yeah, it's funny how we got to where we are today. After so many people on the internet was, what about the towel? What about the towel? There's somebody in there, right? And there was, a couple possibilities of who it could have been. And thank God that they ran it down and figured out that it was her. And they used their own videotape. You can't make this stuff up. They didn't get rid of the gun. They couldn't come up with a good story in the time that it took, law enforcement to get to them. They came up with this cockamamie story that, didn't jive with the forensics. All right. Is there anybody today that doesn't watch Forensic Files and all these other crime scene shows and get all these little tidbits about, how to defend yourself? It is crazy. And they have their own videotape disproving her statement. I see a plea deal coming for at least a couple of these people.
Absolutely, Ed. And I'm, the crazy part about this is that, we spoke extensively about the amount of time that they had. And I even said, I highly doubt that gun or any of this evidence is still around. It's probably in some garbage can somewhere. But, much to our surprise, they did not get rid of it. I'm trying to find the full presser, and I know it's available. So let me just see if I have it.
The best case forward to the DA's office.
Okay, Sharon, they didn't do anything to the corpses other than, please. Let me back that up. After they killed our two victims, the three victims rather, they hid the victims. It's not as if that charge says, okay, they did something they manipulated the bodies or they did something crazy to the bodies afterwards, or dismembered them or tried to do something like that. No, that's not what that charge is all about. Is that they hid the body, and in the course of them hiding the body, for several days, there was some decomposition and things like that altered the bodies. So it's not what you may be thinking.
Thank you for covering that, Ed. I almost got it. If you could just eat up just a little bit more time, I
Go
will.
ahead. Let me see what's here. Yeah. Ed, I don't believe it. All right, let's see. And I'm looking for some more questions, Ron. So let me just scroll through here. Okay. All right. I don't see any other questions. I see a lot of great comments.
Okay, I think I got
Oh,
it.
I do see one. Okay. I don't know why they're not talking about the unborn victim here. I don't know why there isn't a charge already for this. Seems fairly obvious to me that the charge should have happened already. And,
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what they're waiting for or what is the holdup, but it is what it is. It's getting people really pissed off because, baby Fabian needs to have justice, and everyone is, chomping at the bit to get these people charged or whoever. I believe it's all going to come down onto Christopher. So that's what we're going to be looking at here. He's going to take the brunt of the charges.
And a third charge, tampering with evidence.
People are going to be really disappointed when they find out it's not, the father and the mom are not going to be charged with the baby's murder. It's going to be Christopher. And I was curious. A lot of people think that they feel like Christopher is the fall guy here. I don't see that at all, but I respect everyone's thoughts on that. What do you got, Carol?
No, Carol, I believe, is from Scotland, and she's asking if there is any connection between the two families here. Not sure. I don't know. Maybe further investigation will reveal, after they do a deeper dive into everybody's cell phones, that there was previous drug activity between Christopher, Matthew, and so forth. And so maybe there is that kind of connection from some previous dealings, but I don't know of anything. Nothing has been published regarding that.
Okay, I think I found it. So let's play it. I just got to grab the other piece of my microphone because it's coming out of the wrong ear. Let me know if the audio is good in the chat.
Case. First and foremost, once again, SAPD wants to extend our condolences to the family of Savanah and Matthew. Today, as you saw, we just made another arrest. This is the third arrest in this case. Just to recap, back on December 23rd, Leon Valley PD reported that Savanah and Matthew Guerra were reported missing to their jurisdiction. On December 26th, SAPD officers received a call for a disturbance. When those officers made that location, they discovered the bodies of Savanah Soto and Matthew Guerra. They were found deceased in their vehicle, the Kia Optima, that had also been reported missing. Since then, our homicide unit has done an outstanding job in following this case. They followed every lead. They were able to get surveillance video, which led them to these arrests that were made. On January 3rd, we made two arrests, 19-year-old Christopher Preciado and 53-year-old Ramon Preciado. There was a lot of information on social media that there was a third individual involved. Our homicide detectives were aware of that. However, we were looking for enough probable cause to make that arrest and to present the best case forward to the DA's office. Today, that happened. They were able to develop enough evidence to charge 47-year-old Myrta Romanos, that's Myrta Romanos. She is believed to be, I'm not sure exactly what the relationship is, but maybe a stepmother to Christopher, 19-year-old Christopher. She is being charged with 3 felonies. The first one being alter, destroy, conceal a human corpse, which is a second-degree felony. She's also being charged with abuse of corpse, which is a state jail felony, and a third charge, tampering with evidence. Through our forensic unit, we were able to develop information from surveillance video that shows Miss Romanos involved the night of the murder. That video surveillance shows her at the home right after the murders, and she was seen on video surveillance leaving in that black truck that we all saw on the surveillance video, and then returning to her home with Christopher and Ramon in that truck. At this time, I'll take any questions that you might have.
It was her weapon, right?
Excuse me?
They matched her weapon to the ballistics.
Right.
It was her weapon, right? They matched her gun to the ballistics.
Tampering with evidence of
Ballistics.
right. Excuse me?
They matched her weapon to the ballistics.
Right. That tampering with evidence, from what we understand, she stated that was her gun. So we do know that that was her weapon.
And do they believe they were killed in that home? And what was the mother and the stepmom's role?
And do they believe that they were killed at that home, meaning the Preciado residence?
I'm not sure exactly where. We haven't released any of that information. I'm not sure what the circumstances were, but we do know she was involved in helping get rid of the evidence concerning those bodies.
On the third, you guys were under the impression that there were only two suspects, or had said that there were two suspects that were.
Were there any? Are you under the impression that there are other suspects?
No, our homicide detectives were aware early on in the investigation that there wasn't a third person involved. We know that from the video surveillance when there is that towel that's everyone's talked about being thrown. At that time, we just didn't have enough evidence to say that that was Miss Myrta Romanos. But like I said, since then, they've developed enough evidence from surveillance video from the home showing her leaving with the two. She gets into that truck, and then when they return to the home, it's her, Christopher, and Ramon in that truck.
Had she called you guys in the
So now, Ed, she's saying there that all three of them left the home. So does that mean that Christopher committed this crime, then drove home, and then because she says all three of them. She said she got into the truck with them, with those.
Play it back. Play it back.
Yeah, I want to understand that. Is anybody else following us or following me on this? Let me put my earpiece back in. We're going to read the probable cause affidavit.
Myrta Romanos, but like I said, since then they've developed third person involved. We know that from the video surveillance when there is that towel that's everyone's talked about being thrown. At that time, we just didn't have enough evidence to say that that was Miss Myrta Romanos. But
let's listen carefully right here.
Like I said, since then they've developed enough evidence from surveillance video from the home showing her leaving with the two. She gets into that truck, and then when they return to the home, it's her, Christopher, and Ramon.
I think she misspoke. She had to have misspoken because he pulled up into the father pulled up into the parking lot, and the son was already in the victim's car.
Yeah, so
I think she misspoke, I believe, and because initially when she said at first that they saw her leaving, they saw her and her husband get in the truck and leave, and then
I just want to make sure that I heard it the right way, and I did hear that. I definitely did hear that. So it was definitely
the first time she said it, she got it right. This time second time she said it, she got it wrong.
We go by the affidavit. It's all what's in writing, not what is said. So let's listen to the rest of this.
Surveillance video from the home showing her leaving with the two. She gets into that truck, and then when they return to the home, it's her, Christopher, and Ramon in that truck.
Had she called you guys in the past week to come to the house at all? Because I know there's been some reports of vandalism there.
Has she called you guys to come back to the house within the last week? Because I know there was some vandalism there.
I'm not aware of any of that.
As of right now, are you under the impression there are any more suspects?
At this time, we're confident that there's no more suspects.
Yeah, he asked if there was a potentiality to have more suspects, and she says no.
At this time, we're confident that these were the three individuals that were involved in this case.
Do you believe this is connected somehow to a larger crime ring or anything like that?
Do you believe this is connected to a larger drug ring or possibly a cartel? That's what I heard there. Let me know in the chat what you heard.
Somehow to a larger crime ring or anything like that?
No, we don't have any information to lead us to believe that. We do know that there was, I guess, a transaction earlier in that night. What happened and transpired was Matthew Guerra and Savanah were killed. Thank you.
So you guys still don't know where they were killed, like if it was at home or somewhere else?
So you still don't know where they were killed, whether it was at the home or somewhere else, is what the reporter asked?
We believe it was in that area, right near their home.
How cooperative was she?
How cooperative was she? I know there was a search warrant that was issued a few days ago. There was a search warrant, so they had the authority to go into that home. Today, I don't believe she said much.
What happened to the towel?
I
What happened to the towel?
don't have that information. Any other questions?
Did she confess today?
Did she confess?
She wasn't cooperative today. Thank you, guys.
She's a stepmother, right?
We believe she's a stepmom.
Okay. Not biological.
She's still married to Ramon, or
I don't know if that's a common law or they're living together, but I don't believe they're legally married. But I'm not for sure.
Yeah, I was able to find documents that show that they're legally married, or at least she has his last name in writing in a legal document. But it's not. I don't think that's that important here. What's important is what she's charged with. Ed, let's go to the chat. #Ed, #DutyRon, and I'm going to grab the probable cause affidavit, and I'll read the last paragraph. So if you have any questions as it pertains to these new charges, and it's 3 felony charges, I read them off a couple of times. It's altering, destroying, and concealing a corpse, abuse of a corpse, and tampering
with evidence.
Tampering with evidence. Thank you, Ed. All right, what do you got?
Well, so Kathy is asking, Ed, what are they meaning? A drug deal gone bad, not getting drugs they gave money for, or something different? Well, I think the initial contact between Matthew and Chris and Savanah was through the social media networking, where they made arrangements to sell Christopher drugs of some sort. They're saying it was weed. I'm not too sure about that,
Yeah.
but
He's saying
right.
It was weed.
So Matthew and Savanah left their apartment. Savanah takes a phone and she Googles the meet location of Charlie Chan and whatever. What was it? Danny Kaye and Charlie Chan? I can't remember the locations because they're all named after
their home is on Charlie Chan, and then the Danny Kaye is the location where they found the vehicle.
Okay, well she Googled that location to get them to that location.
She Googled Charlie Chan.
Right.
Googled Charlie Chan
to meet Christopher there for the alleged drug deal.
Right.
I don't think it was a drug deal at all for Christopher. I think he was going to whack them from the get-go.
And that's all speculation, folks. That's all.
No, that's my opinion. That's just my opinion based upon how fast this thing transacts.
So he could have told them to meet on the end of Charlie Chan. It's potentially Christopher potentially could have given them an address on his street at the other end of the block or down the block, and that's potentially where this crime could have happened. We do not know at this time, but we will find out. We will eventually find out. Kathy Sykes, Ed, and Ron, I have a question. How can nobody hear anything? A fight, gunshots? Is it possible a silencer was used? Do you still hear something with that? I'm going to just answer the first part of that, and Ed can take the silencer part. This is an area, it's just blocks away, where you're hearing gunshots on a regular basis. Now, I asked Carlos, our friend from TikTok who came on with us, if he hears gunshots, and he said no. Okay, but if you're not really particularly listening for it, or if you're not up late at night, or if you're not, in tune to that, you're not going to hear it. You're inside your home, you got music on, you're watching TV. But basically, if you're in an area, and I worked in a high crime area for a long time, where gunshots were commonplace, and it seems like in that particular area, gunshots are a common occurrence, and people just become, just numb to it, and they just, oh, there goes a gunshot again, and they just don't report it. That's potentially what could have happened here. And Ed, I'll let you take the silencer part of that.
Well, I'd like to chime in on that as well. If I believe that they were shot from inside the car. Now, if they're inside the car and the windows are closed, and depending on the caliber of the weapon, we don't know that either yet, it could have been a bit muffled, okay? And also, people were reporting at that time of the year that around New Year's and so forth, that there was a lot of firework activity that goes on in this neighborhood. So, again, it could have been inside the car, muffled a bit, and people don't want to get involved.
Right.
You know, people just don't want to pick up the phone and call 911 because they're afraid of this gang and drug activity that occurs there, and they're afraid of retribution and so forth if they get outed.
Yeah.
So
It's potential of that, and we don't know the caliber of the weapon either. People are asking about the caliber, make, and model. That'll be forthcoming. You know, it'll eventually be coming out. You're gonna have to, wait to find that out. But it is her gun, and whether she legally owned it or not, we don't know. I would assume that if she didn't legally own that gun, we would have saw charges here. Correct, Ed?
yeah, definitely. I mean, she was of age; she can purchase the gun. He is not. He's 19. He's not allowed by Texas law at this time to purchase a handgun, so or possess it. Okay, yeah. So I had a question up there. Jersey girl. Okay, obviously from New Jersey. And why do I think this? Why do I think this? Because they were both shot in the back of the head, and again, it could have been muffled why nobody reported it, and it was so quick. We're talking 4 to 9 minutes tops. Okay. I didn't think it got into any kind of transaction of monies for drugs and so forth.
Yeah. Let me just go to this real quick. Yeah. Mel, that's a great one. Mel Allah says bad guys don't follow laws. Of course not.
That's right.
A lot of hashtags, a lot of hashtag and Eds. We could be answering questions all night. Curious Kiwi, DutyRon and Ed. If Christopher took/stole his mother's gun, would that prove premeditation?
Could.
Yeah, could.
It could. I mean, I've seen district attorneys create premeditation on less than that.
Ben McCoy says, Ed, hashtag Ed, federal law prohibits him from possessing a handgun at 19.
I said that. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Not just purchase, but possess.
Yeah.
Although there is several court cases going through the system. West Virginia just had one where the federal judge said that it's unconstitutional to stop teenagers to 20 years old from purchasing a handgun. So that's working its way up to the Supreme Court.
Yeah. And there's so many unanswered questions. I'm looking at some of the chat and people are asking questions, and all of these questions there could be many possible answers to them. But here, JD says, wouldn't Matthew have been bloody from all the gunshots, from the 2 gunshot?
Matthew? Matthew or Christopher? Matthew had 1 shot. Savanah had 1 shot. Okay. Could there be some cross bloodstain patterns? From Matthew spreading blood onto Savanah, Savanah spreading blood onto Christopher. Yes, I spoke about that earlier about the overlap of blood stains that's possible. It's called back spatter from entrance wounds. We don't know anything about any exit wounds. All we know is about entrance wounds. If there are exit wounds, then there's going to be forward spatter, and that forward spatter, there's more of it, and it travels further, and so the interior of the car will have a lot more blood. Now, if they're shot in the back of the head and he's in the back seat, and the exits, if there is an exit, we don't know. Remember, I'm just trying to explain this.
Right.
If there is an exit, that blood is going to go forward. It's going to be on the dashboard, on the headliner, on the windshield.
Yeah, there's many potential possibilities of what could happen, and we know that essentially, Matthew Guerra was dragged into the back of that vehicle. So wherever he was shot, whether it was outside of the vehicle and he fell to the ground, or inside the vehicle, as Ed feels happened,
and then taken out of the vehicle and dragged and then thrown in the back seat.
Right. And this all could have happened prior to the father being called. The kid could have did this on his own, or here's another possible. Let me throw a real wow out there, and I'm sure people have thought of this. What if the kid called his father and said, I need help. I need you to help me drag him into the back.
Yeah, I don't know about saying help about that, but maybe, but they're going to get the phone records. And I believe there was communication between the father and the son. And that led to the meetup. That led to the mother and the father getting out of the house, getting in the truck, and driving to that parking lot where they met the son. So there's going to be some kind of text message, maybe WhatsApp, or some other secure encrypted text, or maybe they didn't use any of that. They just regular text, regular cell phone call, Dad, I did this. I need help.
Yep. Seal of approval says with hashtag DutyRon, hashtag Ed, could Myrta get a plea deal if she details the circumstances of how this all played out? Possibly, but I don't think so. We have to see how this unfolds, but anything is possible at this point. Let me just take a look. Dead weight is extremely heavy, and that's why we're saying that. Look, maybe he needed help to drag, even though Matthew was a tall, skinny. He wasn't a stocky fella, so he was tall and skinny. Maybe he was able to get it done by himself. You never know.
Yeah. And also, we got to find those clothes. We got to find the clothes that everybody involved were wearing that night.
Yeah. Let's look at this affidavit. Let me know in the chat if you could see this. If it's blurry, I'll back it out. Oops. Okay, here we go. Just let me know if you got. Can you see that pretty good?
Make it a little bigger.
Okay.
Can you go up one more, or is that it?
It keeps changing on me when I do this. Okay.
Okay, there you go.
This is good. So I'm going to go to this section right here, and I can't highlight it because I didn't download this. I just wanted to read it for you. So all the rest of this arrest affidavit really just goes over what we read the other night about Ramon and Christopher. They talk about Miranda warnings, and again, it's the same thing, Ed. They just added this right here to it, and it says the detective spoke with. Oh, wait. Okay. Let me go here. On January 4th of 2024, the detective spoke to Myrta Romanos. Myrta stated that on the night of the incident, which is December 21st, 2023, 23:59 hours, she was at her residence on Charlie Chan Drive. They redacted the address, but we all know what that address is. She was at her residence on Charlie Chan Drive with Ramon and Christopher. Myrta could conveniently not recall the events of the night and stated she thought she was sleeping. Bullshit. Myrta denies knowing about the incident and denied being in Ramon Preciado's vehicle at 5903 Danny K Drive. Further investigation led to surveillance video being recovered from the defendant's residence, the defendant being her. That means they recovered the video from her residence, her cameras. In the surveillance video, Myrta could be seen leaving the residence with Ramon on the night of the incident. Ramon and Myrta entered Ramon's vehicle and departed from their residence. And here's where it's clear. We're talking about the lieutenant making that misspeaking. She says that Ramon and Myrta entered his vehicle, that's the gray Silverado, and departed from their residence on Charlie Chan. Several minutes later, Ramon's vehicle entered the driveway of their residence. Christopher, Ramon, and Myrta could all be observed exiting the vehicle and entering their residence. These times observed corroborate the timing of the events, meaning the murders, already known, and showed that Myrta was with Ramon when he relocated to 5903 Danny K Drive to meet with Christopher. That means in writing, they are putting in that affidavit that she was with him in that vehicle and she is Towel Lady. The detective has reason to believe and does believe that said defendant, Myrta Romanos, on or about the 21st day of December 2023 in Bexar County, Texas, knowingly concealed a human corpse with the intent to impair its availability as evidence in an investigation in violation of Section 37.09 of the Penal Code of the state of Texas. And it's signed, sealed, and delivered to the court. That says it all, Ed. Dumb criminals. They kept the video on their house. They didn't even think of it. All of those days, they could have done something, and they did nothing. And I'm happy that they didn't, because now they are busted. And the wheels of justice are now in motion, and there's so much more work to be done on behalf of the district attorney's office, because now they've packaged up, as we heard the district attorney say the other night, we're waiting for them to package up all the rest of their evidence in their case and hand it over to us, that's what's happening now. And they now have to prosecute this case. A lot of hashtags in the chat. We didn't get to them all, but we're going to look back now. What do you got, Ed?
So Katerina writes, Ed, did you know where the word pistol came from? And she's saying it's from the Czech word pistola, from these wars, but they're also from the French and German word pistola. But I believe if the correct translation of the Czech word is whistle, and because the gun resembled a whistle.
Could be.
If I remember that correctly.
I know nothing about it. I'm just listening to you, Ed, and I trust. In Ed, I trust. In Ed,
all others, we polygraph.
Where is it? Here it is. I got to change this to Ed. No, I'm not going to change it. In God we trust. All others we polygraph.
Yes.
So there it is. Let me hang that up full screen for everybody to see, because that's a cool one.
Well,
I'm gonna get another one made in Ed we trust. All others we polygraph.
And here's a question here. Ed, is it possible they deleted the video, but LE was able to work their magic and recover the video?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is definitely possible, because just because you delete something, folks, it's still there. We can put the pieces of the puzzle back together again.
That's why I said if it's a Ring video doorbell, it goes to their cloud server on Ring. If it's a paid service where they're putting it up on a cloud, then they can subpoena it and get it. So,
but the POI, and that's a good. There was another question back a while ago. Can a POI, a PIO, a public information officer, lie to the public? Could they? Yes, but if they get caught in a lie, they're never to be trusted again. They're told not to lie. As a matter of course, they're not supposed to lie. I don't think they would lie, because, again, as I said, if you're a public information officer and you get caught lying, that's it. You're done. You're no longer going to be a public information officer.
Yeah.
But she did say that it was enhanced as opposed to retrieved or extracted.
Yeah, I wrote it down. She said, here it is. Video.
Ron's rewinding his.
I have too many notes here. Forget about it. But he's
rewinding his Post-its.
She's. I don't want to touch that thing. I don't want to touch the board over there. She said video, sir, at the home after the murders was enhanced by the Forensic Enhancement Unit.
Right.
So that's where her words. I finally found it in my scribble. It was the Video Enhancement Unit. Hashtag Ed, is it possible that they could get DNA off the victims that belongs to Christopher and his father?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, if Christopher dragged Matthew I'm thinking out of the car, along the ground, that's why he has those injuries, all right, postmortem injuries. And so he's not wearing gloves. He's barehanded. So there's going to be a transfer of Christopher's DNA to Matthew's skin and clothing. And it's up to the lab to try to get that.
Yeah. The lab has to do that. And
the same thing for the car seat, the child car seat. All right, the baby car seat, there's going to be transfer there. And he probably touched Savanah as well. Yeah. So they have to look for that and try to gather that information.
Lisa G, I am going to post a link to the affidavit. This one's straight from the court. And maybe you have the one that might have been earlier on, and this one might have been amended, but I will put it in the description. Hashtag Ed, that damn cough, says Sherry Davis.
Yeah, I know. I've been good all day, honestly. I've been good all day, and every once in a while it rears its ugly head.
Yes. So I think we got to a lot of the chats, but I want to go to the super chats because those are important. Ed, these are the people who support us, so I want to get to them. Faith became a new member. Thank you, Faith, for becoming a new member. Thank you to everyone who's been gifted a membership. Judy gifted out one. Mountain Girl with the super chat. I know I went over these already. I'm just doing it again. Kathy became a member. Thank you, Kathy. Mountain Girl gifted out a membership. That was kind of you. Thank you, Mountain Girl. Jeff says, hey, a new category. Jagaloon Criminals, Ron and Ed Wallace, batting 1,000. We learned so much from you both. God be with those victims and their families. Absolutely, Jeff.
Amen, Jeff.
Yes, thank you. Thank you to you and the missus. Josh the Posh, 63, became a member. Jolene Lujan became a member. Bev Anderson, super sticker. Thank you so much. Liam's mom, thank you for becoming a member. Dr. Ed Moskowitz gifted Julie. I know that was Julie spending Ed's money. She's gifted out 5 memberships. Ed's like, put the credit card away, honey. I just had surgery, for crying out loud. Dr.
Yes,
Ed,
prayers to those.
speedy recovery, Dr. Ed. Sheila gifted out 5 memberships. I love when people start doing that. That's awesome. Terry Ann, thank you for becoming a member. DutyRon and Ed gifted 5 memberships. Jules, she nailed it. She became a member too. Oh, hell yeah. Southwest 4x4 Explorers, member for 10 months. Question, will hubby and son know she's been caught? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
Schmitty and the rest of you who keep bringing this up, towel.
It's a towel. All right. Arlene became a new member. Jelana Pacific Northwest, thank you for the $2. Have they mentioned bond for the mother? Not yet, but they will. They mentioned bond for the father. They mentioned bond for Christopher. I mean, it's shocking that they even, $2 million bond for someone who's standing for capital murder. What if some millionaire comes up and tries to post bond for him? Well, then what do you do? I don't know. Just stuff like that makes me really crazy. Charlie Schneider, thank you for becoming a member. And then send in a super chat of $5. Hey, Ron and Ed, keep up the good work. Keep up the work. I know he meant good. Sheila sends in a $5 super chat and says, not if Christopher's done it. Drove home, then all 3 left, went to car, dropped it off, then all 3 came back, rode back home. That's way behind. Sister Carol Ann Clark sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Sister Clark. Best real-time cases and info. Thanks, DutyRon and Ed. This is so sad. I'm following you. Prayers up for grieving families.
You know what she said to me the other day, Sister Clark?
What'd she say?
She, she must have caught me saying shit. And she said, no, Ed, it's holy shit.
Holy shiitake mushrooms. That's all you got to say. And then you don't even get scolded. DutyRon gifted out some memberships. Princess Mitch, look at this. 48 months. Best channel on YouTube. All fact, no fiction. You and Rob are part of the backbone of this community, and we love and respect you guys. So thank you, Princess Mitch. She's a great moderator, great friend. Whistling Dixie sends in $5, and she says, was Christopher sending messages in a manner that they were killed? Was Christopher sending messages in a manner that they were killed? She's meaning probably, was he sending messages, hey, I killed these 2, Dad, come and help me? I think. Am I reading that wrong?
I think that's what she's trying to infer, yes.
Yeah.
Possibly, yeah, I believe so. I believe he contacted them and to get them to rush out to that location.
Yeah.
And then they came up with that plan to deposit the car with the victims in the car.
Yeah.
In the parking lot around the corner from where they met.
Crazy. Charlie Schneider sends in a $5 super chat and says, how bad of a criminal are you to get busted with your own freaking cameras? Charlie, I agree.
And your own gun.
Right. Your own gun. Right. It's all in the family. Rob52, member for 35 months, best YouTube channel. I don't know. Is that Princess Mitch's husband, Rob? It might be. If it is, hi, Rob. Black Rose, a member for 35 plus months. Our members stay. All welcome.
Does that make him Prince, Rob?
He is. He's the prince. She's the princess. Melissa became a YouTube member. Melissa, welcome to the fam. Sandra, thank you for becoming a member. James, thank you for becoming a member. And I think we got it all. Wow. A lot to unpack. A lot of information. This case, I feel like we're on this emotional roller coaster, but I think we're at the end, and we're going to now look forward to, February, I think 5th, the dad, and then the son is a different date. They're both going to have Hearings are going to go forward. That's the court dates in February. I don't have them just off the top of my head. I believe it was the 5th. And then I think the Christopher's was the 3rd, I want to say. Don't hold me to those dates. Thank you for becoming a member. Oh, being a member 6 months. Cheryl F. Thank you for all you do. Great live tonight. Yeah. There you go. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. So there's that. I think we got everything covered. Ed has it right with the firework theory. That's me 20 says, Ed, you got it right with the fireworks theory. Jules nailed it again, is coming in with some more questions. How long does forensic evidence take, Ed? Is it possible it will be made public? Will the phone records be made public?
Depending on what the forensic evidence is that DNA normally takes a lot longer than most of the other forensic evidence. Hair and fibers require microscopic examination, maybe some chemical analysis, depending on what they're doing there.
Right.
Latent fingerprints are relatively fast. Typically, ballistic evidence is relatively fast as well in terms of matching cartridge cases and bullets to a specific firearm, as in this case. You're not going to get all that information. Then just not going to give that out pre-trial. You may get it during discovery. It may come out. There may be some leaks, but definitely when you go to trial, and there's going to be all kinds of hearings. There may be evidence suppression hearings. If that's the case, you're going to get that information during that time.
Yeah.
Plus autopsies take a while because you typically wait for toxicology results to come back before they finalize the autopsy reports. And then I'm sure Ron and I both know cases that the autopsy hasn't been finished yet. And it's been, almost, I don't know how many months, the case in Florida still do not have a cause and manner of death.
Christine Engelhardt.
Yeah.
Her mom, I'm going to be having a phone meeting with her tomorrow, and they still don't know the full autopsy results. And that was from 2021, and also Cassie Carley. Right?
Cassie Carley, yeah.
About Cassie. So there's 2 right there. Ray, her sister, is waiting to find out about the cause and manner, and we still don't know. That thing is still up in the air. I feel so bad. We got to do an update on Cassie Carley. If you guys remember that case, put a 1 in the chat. Let us know that you know about Cassie Carley. We don't forget any of the cases that we cover. As far as stuff becoming public, like phone records and things of that nature, they're going to hold on to that until trial. Yes, discovery will be handed over to the defense, but it's not necessarily going to be made public, I don't think. This is a capital murder case. They're not going to want to risk justice to get information out to the public. That information will be released in the court of law where it should be released, not into the public. We know that we want to know about this stuff and we have these wants and needs, but we have to put the victims and their families first, and justice for baby Fabian. So all of this stuff will come out in good time, but at the end of the day, there's no need for that stuff to be put out there just to taint the jury, taint the case. We don't want it. We see it in Kohlberger. We see that circus that's going on with that, and it's just leave it alone. Let this stuff come out. I know we all want to know about it, but it's just not cool. It's not a good look.
Well, they have 90 days from the time of arrest to either have a probable cause hearing or a grand jury indictment. Right? Is that what I remember correctly? They have 90 days.
90 days, but they could do it before that.
Right. Okay. So, maybe, and grand jury indictments are usually secret, so you're not supposed to get that information.
Right.
Okay. Whereas the probable cause hearing is typically done in open court, and people can attend that, and news reporters will report on it, and there'll be information gleaned if they have that kind of a hearing.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Kel Bell says she's #1 loved, longtime lurker, first time commenting. I absolutely love you guys. Lived in New York City in the early 90s, and you two have the best coverage out of anyone. Hey, we appreciate that. And Kel Bell, thank you for coming out of the closet and getting into the chat. It's great. It's great that you're in the chat.
I feel like I'm singing now. I'm coming out, so you better get this party started.
Stop. All right. I want to just find out if anybody is watching in the chat from San Antonio. If you're from the San Antonio area, just let us know by saying San Antonio or just SA, whatever you want to do, whatever's easier for you. Let's see if anybody is there from San Antonio. I know we have a ton of people from the great state of Texas that are watching all over. My grandparents, they lived in Dallas, and I spent many summers, very hot summers in Dallas when school was out. Would go out and see my grandparents on my dad's side, Dallas, Texas. I actually played baseball out there when my brother and I would go out there. They would call us the New York Whirlybirds. You know, that was the team we were on, the Whirlybirds. So pretty cool. Summer months in Texas, hot, but yeah.
Oh yeah.
Good stuff.
Oh yeah. I have family in San Antonio. I have two first cousins in San Antonio.
Oh, there you go. Ben McCoy, San Antonio. Wanda wants to hear you sing more. That's going to be for another thing.
And she wants to witness you pole dancing too. You didn't read the second half there, big guy.
I am not. Laura Rivera from San Antonio. Welcome. Thank you for being here. And listen, Joan from San Antonio, thank you for being here. San Antonio 210. That's the area code.
Area code. Yeah.
Moonlight View sends in a $20 super chat. She says, "Well done as always, gentlemen. Thank you." Born and raised. I'm not sure. Right for San Antonio. I'm not quite sure. San Antonio area. Oh, there's a lot. Wow, Ed, a ton.
Yeah. I did a course down in San Antonio, and it was held at a private airplane hangar of this millionaire oil guy, probably billionaire. And he had like 3 hangars at San Antonio Airport with all restored World War II fighter planes, bombers and fighter planes. And it was amazing. This guy recovered a P-38 Lightning that was frozen in a glacier in Greenland. And he dug it up, restored it, and got it into flying condition, and now flies it. I was amazing.
Wow. Yeah, that had to have been an awesome trip to going down there and teaching in a hangar and then getting to see that. That's pretty awesome. All right. So I think we covered pretty much everything, an hour and 21 minutes. Tons of people from San Antonio. I can't even believe how many people are watching from Ground Zero at San Antonio, Texas. So I wanted to
wait.
Go ahead.
You got to say something, right? You know what I remember?
What do you remember?
The Alamo.
Oh yeah. Don't forget the Alamo, folks. You always got to remember the Alamo. Thank you, Ed, for keeping us grounded. Jules, look at Jules puts in the chat. Hold on a second. I'm from Goshen, New York, for crying out loud.
All right.
She nailed it. Welcome, everybody. Listen, wherever you're watching, you're always welcome here. If you're not yet subscribed, follow us on all things social media. One word, DutyRon. That's both DutyRon and Ed Wallace. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, now X. I'll always call it Twitter. Facebook, here on YouTube. If you're not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing. So many new people subscribing here, and we value and honor each and every one of you. But before we end these live streams, we want to just let you guys know that the victims and their families come first in all of these cases, and we do these educational live streams with respect and dignity, and we never ever go and attack any families despite what the circumstances might be when they're burying loved ones. So I plea with you guys to have pause for peace, and let these families bury their loved ones, and there'll be always a time and place to have conversations as this case develops and moves along. But right now, I just say, try to be kind. If you don't have something nice to say, just kind of keep that in your pocket and talk about it at a different day. But we want to send strength, prayers, and positive vibes to the district attorneys, the police detectives, the homicide detectives, the EMTs, the innocent civilians who come across these horrific murders, the people who had to be exposed to this, and everybody that's involved, including the residents of San Antonio and the surrounding communities. Strength, prayers, and positive vibes is all we can do. And, we got you back. We're standing strong with you guys until justice is served for baby Fabian, for, the victims, Matthew Guerra and Savanah Soto. that's all we can offer here. Our experience as New York City police detectives runs far and deep, and Ed's experience is second to none. But we are first and foremost good human beings. And Ed, I know you feel the same way.
Amen. Ditto. Yes, absolutely.
That's what this is about. All right. Yeah. So Julio asks, will you be meeting with Tio Carlos again? I talked to him on the phone today. When we text back and forth, and he's a great guy, and I'm trying to help guide him and so forth. So just trying to be a friend, because he's having a rough time. He doesn't know, if he's doing the right thing or if he's doing the wrong thing, and I've been trying to encourage him just to chill out. So
yes, for those of us who know, cancer is a scary thing and it sucks. And
yeah,
I don't wish that on my worst enemy. And say a prayer for him.
Yeah, absolutely. He's fighting the good fight. So, Ed, I know you always have something to say before we end this, and I want to thank the replay viewers, the super chatters, the people who became members, the folks who leave us comments down below. Ed and I are all over the comments. So keep sending us your great comments, and keep questioning, sending us questions as it pertains to this case. Ed,
That's right.
I know you have something to message.
And don't forget, folks, subscribe if you haven't already. Tell your friends, tell your family. Join us in the DutyRon family here at the true crime genre. And don't forget, Ron and I are going to be where, Ron, in May?
Nashville, Tennessee at CrimeCon.
CrimeCon. Okay. All right. Folks, please, thank you for joining us tonight. I want to tell you to stay safe, stay prepared, and watch your six.
Good night from New York and Chicago. Love and respect from our house to your guys' house. Stand by for a message from the cop team. It's Kara, Oscar, and this guy over here, Popeye. He's over there somewhere. See you guys soon. Good night and God bless. Peace.